Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Sanchez. Welcome to my Capstone presentation. I am a current student at Savvy Coders Data Analytics plus Python Bootcamp, and I'm also employed as an associate system specialist, and I'm a proud Navy veteran as well. But what does that exactly mean for here? What am I doing here? Or how exactly did I get to this point? So throughout my life, even when I was a child, I've always had a fascination with just how things work and the data that tells us about how things work. Growing up, I played a lot of sports, watched some sports, and I started to become interested in who put all the stats up on the screen for all the athletes. Do people take this information after the game and use it? Or why is this even output at all? How did anyone do it? I began to get fascinated how fast data could be delivered about people's actions, basically. And as I got older and grew up, that curiosity was parlayed into a history degree. And although it's not a STEM degree, it's a degree in humanities, I was just interested in the human story. And through studying history and becoming interested in the story, I also began to question, how was that story compiled? Are there specific techniques to compile it? Who interpreted all this data? And how was it even transformed into pieces of deliverable information, whether it be through a electronic medium, a paper medium, etc. As I began to ask myself those questions and I completed my degree, through my own research, I eventually found out about data analytics as a field. And I began to become introduced to the different technologies, different techniques, the ways of communicating with people and businesses, and basically how to communicate data to them, how to communicate questions about their own business, about forecasts, about historical data they had. And the more I began to know about the data analytics field, the more I became interested in becoming proficient at a set of technologies that could possibly one day use for employment, use to create my own business, or just use to help other people do their jobs. I'm also began to be interested in something called cryptocurrencies. As being a history major, I never saw any form of cryptocurrencies or any technology close to that ever introduced in human history. There's been currencies before, weights and measures. Now we have paper currencies, fiat currencies. However, I've never seen any sort of decentralized, widely distributed set of currencies such as crypto. So through my interest in crypto, I began to ask questions about it. And the first step was just knowing, what is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency is decentralized and digital currency exchange across the network of computers. There's no regulatory agencies, no central government body regulating these currencies and their exchanges. And cryptocurrency uses cryptographic technology to prevent fraud. Every unit of crypto is encrypted with this technology, much like the United States government uses technology to encrypt their paper currencies. I will be doing a historical and forecast analysis on 4 cryptocurrencies. The historical data will run from January 2018 to May 2023, and the forecast data will run over the next 4 years from 2024 to 2028. I chose 4 cryptocurrencies, which are circled there to the right side of the screen, and they are the 4 cryptocurrencies I choose are in the top 10 most traded cryptocurrencies according to cryptoslate.com. And the question I want to answer is, what is the price of admission? What is it going to cost you to engage with these cryptocurrencies? What are the average prices? How much do the prices deviate from the average? And I chose 4 cryptocurrencies based on the price point, Bitcoin being the highest at tens of thousands per unit, Ethereum being at thousands per unit, XRP being at under $1 a unit, and Litecoin being around $100 a unit. The first cryptocurrency we're looking at here is Bitcoin. And this line graph here just shows the overlay of the average close and average open of Bitcoin across the time period. And each year is annotated with the average price. You will see the same setup for line graphs for the next 3 cryptocurrencies we'll also see. If you notice in the top left corner, you'll see aggregate data. And across this time period, the average price was just over $20,500. The average price change across this time period was positive 59%. And the average price deviated day to day around just over $16,000 from the total average of a Bitcoin unit across this total time period. Obviously, you can see a huge spike around 2020 with a peak around 2021 and then a decrease over the last couple of years. The forecasted price of Bitcoin is very high. And by the end of 2028, it's forecasted to be over $90,000 per unit. You notice on the top left corner, the aggregate data states that the average price across the next 4 years will be over $66,000 with an average price change of positive 18+%. And the typical price of a unit of Bitcoin across this time will deviate over $17,000 above or below the average price. The next cryptocurrency we are looking at is Ethereum. And Ethereum across this time period had an average price of just over $1,100. The average price change is positive 154%. And the typical price of a unit of Ethereum deviated just over $1,100 above or below the shown average price. And again, huge spike around 2020, peaking around 2021, with then a slight decrease over the past couple of years. The forecasted price of Ethereum is supposed to steadily climb. And the forecasted aggregate average price across the next 4 years is just over $2,800 with an average percentage price change of positive 9%. And the typical price of a unit of Ethereum will be above or below $379 above or below the shown average price. The third cryptocurrency we are looking at is Litecoin. And Litecoin, you can see, also had a spike around 2020, peaking at around 2021, with it falling back down over the last couple of years. On the top left corner, you can see that the average price around this time period was $98. The average percentage price change was positive 27%. And the typical price of a Litecoin deviated $59 above or below the shown average price. The Litecoin forecast is supposed to basically level out over the next 4 years with a forecasted average price of $76. The average percentage price change will be negative 3%. And the forecasted typical price deviation from the mean will be $4 for Litecoin. The last cryptocurrency we are currently looking at is Exprivia. And Exprivia also had a spike around 2020, peaking at 2021, with then a downturn over the last couple of years. On the bottom right, you can see the aggregate average price, which is 50 cents. The average price percentage change across this time period is 21%. And the standard deviation is 33 cents above or below the shown average price. The forecast of Exprivia is supposed to level out and also steadily decline over the next 4 years with an average forecasted price of 31 cents. The average price percentage change is forecasted to be negative 7%. And the standard deviation is 3 cents above or below the forecasted average price. Looking at our historical data summary, the average historical price is shown with and without Bitcoin, as well as the price percentage change, because Bitcoin really skews the averages since its price point is very, very high. And as you can see, the average historical price across the time period is just over $5,400 for all 4 cryptocurrencies. The average price without Bitcoin is $406. You can see the wide gap there. The historical and forecasted percentage price changes with and without Bitcoin are similar, with Bitcoin it being 65%, and then the average forecasted price being 67%. Let's move on to the next slide. This is our forecast summary, forecasting the averages with and without Bitcoin, and the standard percentage price change with and without Bitcoin. As you can see, the average forecasted price, including Bitcoin, with all four cryptocurrencies is almost $17,500. And the average forecasted price with the three cryptocurrencies, excluding Bitcoin, is just under $1,000. The forecasted percentage price changes are closer together, being at 4% with Bitcoin and negative 0.3% without Bitcoin. Knowing this data, I asked myself, what are some possible stakeholders of this data that I found? And I, figuratively looked close by and looked at savvy coders, and I noticed the local outreach they're doing, which personally I think is great, investing local. And as they attract more Missouri-based residents into their data analytics programs, I asked, what if I was a newly graduated data analytics Missouri resident looking to invest local and work local? And if I was interested in crypto, what would that look like for me to engage with these cryptocurrencies and start trading them and purchasing them? So I took the average salary of 80 entry-level analyst Glassdoor postings in Missouri. And these postings had a job description requesting 3 or yet less years of experience with no extra licensures or very advanced degrees. And the average salary of those 80 entry-level analyst Glassdoor postings in Missouri is just over $66,000, as you see on the bar graph on the left side. And on the right side, you will see what it will cost for 1 unit of each cryptocurrency against the average salary of an entry-level analyst off of the Glassdoor job postings. And as you can see, Bitcoin's price against that salary is 30%, by far in a way the highest. And with the rest of the cryptocurrencies costing less than 5% of the average salary of an entry-level analyst, going off the 80 entry-level analyst Glassdoor postings. So how was it done? And as far as feeding the data into this graph here, into this visualization, I ended up making my own data set of analyst jobs, entry-level analyst jobs in Missouri based off Glassdoor. My initial query, as you can see here, is 264 data analyst jobs in Missouri. And I had to scrub those for duplicates or jobs that stated they were entry level but required 3 or more years of experience and advanced degrees or extra licenses. And I took those out, and there were 80 left that required 3 or less years of experience, as well as specifically stating that they were entry level roles. And from this data set, or from this information rather, I use Python. I use NumPy and Pandas libraries from Python to basically make a set of series and then concatenate them into a CSV file. And after I concatenated them, then I converted that into Excel file, which was ran through SQL to remove nulls as to not skew the data. I did attempt to scrape Glassdoor, but kept getting a 403 error code, so not authorized to do so. So I had to basically go my own way, build my own path, and construct this data set to build that data. As far as the cryptocurrency historical data, this is what the cryptocurrency data looks like. I got it off Kaggle. I ran the data sets of each cryptocurrency through SQL to make sure there were no nulls. If there were nulls, I use where and delete statements in SQL to get rid of those as to not skew the data. And once I put that data into Tableau, I basically made reports for myself on each cryptocurrency so I can validate the data that was in Tableau against the data that was shown in Excel and vice versa. So I had 2 pieces of software, excuse me, 2 pieces of software that were saying the same thing as to validate each other. Anything you see in yellow or any figures you see next to the yellow boxes to the right or below is historical data, specifically averages and standard deviation and percent averages. And anything you see below or next to an orange box is forecast data and price averages, standard deviations, and percent averages. As far as agile methods, I did work within a team throughout the boot camp, not specifically on the capstone, but we did move together around the same timeline, helping each other out, as well as anytime we did not know an answer, we would request for instructor help. And so that was more of like a scrum method. As far as my own project, I try to keep it lightweight in keeping with some of the agile principles so as to deliver a product. And if I needed to scale up, I could do so easily if I kept it lightweight. And if I had enough to present, then I went with that to be able to deliver something for my capstone project. As far as lessons learned, I definitely learned a lot of lessons into how multiple technologies can be deployed together to present a large set of data. I also definitely learned about time management and what that looks like while working with multiple technologies. And as far as something that I was proud of, I was just proud of getting through it, of going outside of my comfort zone. And I really enjoyed working with everyone here as well as my team and getting this accomplished. Thank you again for joining me in my capstone presentation. And yeah, thank you for your time.